There are now 3 generations of upcut saws. You may be surprised at how different they are from one another. In this video, we are going to discuss generational differences from dust control to guarding to cut quality, which is first being addressed for the first time in the newest Gen 3 saws. The first generation of upcut saws remained relatively unchanged for decades, with the invention of the upcut saw itself being the primary industry disruptor. The second generation addressed top guarding and offered improved dust collection, but further innovation was slow until the release of the third generation saw. Gen 3 not only improved guarding and dust collection, but for the first time addressed the upcut saw's weakest point, cut quality. In upcut saws, the blade guard acts as both a guard and a hold down. When the saw is cycled, the guard/hold down secures the material to the table and fence before the blade pneumatically cycles upward. The upper corner closest to the fence is the weakest area, often resulting in material tear out. Furthermore, material often has pronounced blade marks and is rough cut due to the lack of support left and right of the blade directly. Both first and second generation saws tend to have more tear out and blade marks than a Gen 3 saw. This is because the Gen 3 saw is the only one designed with a slotted clamp cutout, allowing for a full back fence and a zero clearance insert to fully support your material immediately to the left and right of the blade. See specifically here, that's probably a really good shot there. You can see how clean the cut is, and then all of a sudden as you go towards the fence, again, there you go, that is exactly what we're talking about. Very smooth cut here, and then you can see as that saw blade is exiting, it's going to leave more and more marks. Compared to a Gen 1 and Gen 2 saw, you can see it's just a consistent, smooth cut. So this is pretty hard to capture, but you can see how the cut goes from smooth to rough. So everything towards the front of the saw is going to be smooth, and everything that comes into your fence area is going to be rough. The Gen 2 saw fared pretty well, except for if you look, I mean, a nice clean cut, but there's just a slight little line, just really slight on these 4. And we still do have tear out on one edge. And this would have been the top leading edge. Material would have been placed this way into the saw. So this was the rear of the fence, and that's where you would expect the tear out. And the reason why I cut a stack is because it's a little bit easier to see. And again, if you look, clean, consistent, I cannot tell where the front or the back of the blade has hit, consistent cut. And as you can see, just a nice, clean, consistent cut from front to back. The only thing you can tell and see is the actual wood grain, but there's no, you can't differentiate where the heel or the top of the rear fence is. Just a clean, consistent cut. You'll see it has the least amount of tear out. There's still some tear out, but again, if you compare, you can see there's less on the Gen 3 than the Gen 2, and obviously the Gen 1 has the most. This Whirlwind was chosen to represent the first generation of upcut saws because of its continued popularity despite its aging design. As time passes, it is becoming increasingly difficult to find quality used Gen 1 saws of any brand. The Whirlwind features a small L-shaped material support area along with a minimalistic and low-profile basic fence. The fence ends about 1 inch away from the blade, and there is no support to the right of the blade. The hold down is metal and can mar soft materials like pine. In our testing, it did mar pine shiplap. Besides no top guarding, the main shortcoming to a Gen 1 upcut saw is that the blade is open to the inside, offering poor dust control via a rear port. Often these machines are filled with sawdust, with all vital components exposed to dust. Thus, you almost always see a built-in dust wand. Gen 2 saws have 3 distinct advantages over Gen 1 saws. The top guard is the first thing you will notice, and for good reason. Removing the top guard, you will see a more generous material support area on this Gen 2 saw. But this can also be found on late model Gen 1 saws as well. So the fence this manufacturer decided to use has left me conflicted. It's 25 inches long and 2 inches high and easily adjustable. However, it's up to you to square to the blade. It also has no set point or pin sets to lock it square to the blade. In addition, if you hit it hard enough, it's easy to unsquare it as well. However, while the fence is nearly 4 inches longer than the table to the right, it's 2.5 inches away from the blade to the right, meaning it has less support than the Whirlwind left and right of the blade. Out of the 3 machines we tested, it offered the least support around the blade. This Gen 2 saw manufacturer did option this particular machine with a non-marring pad. However, it's common to see Gen 2s without the pad. It's worth noting that both Gen 2 and Gen 3 saws we tested were both equipped with a non-marring pad, and neither saw left marks in any of the materials we tested. Gen 2 upcut saws' second and third advantages are found right here: a lowered left-hand mounted dust port and a partitioned blade. Partitioning off the blade from the inside of the saw for better dust collection. This particular model has a tubbed lower area that leads to the dust port. Here is a better view of the blade partition. Though there are gaps near the top arbor casting and rear inside blade areas. The first thing you notice on a Gen 3 Northtech is the illuminated safety guard for clear visibility of the cut zone. Currently a low-cost option, I am told it will be standard shortly. And this was one of the complaints about these guards, was the lack of sightline to the blade and material. When removing the top guard, it becomes clear that Northtech is about innovation. Of course, you will find ample material support just like on the Gen 2s. However, the biggest innovation comes from the rear fence. The guard has a cutout allowing for a full back fence that sits 3 1/8 inches tall. Material is supported 100% left and right of the blade, as they have also added a zero clearance insert to the fence. While the fence is adjustable, it is also pinned square to the blade, which is a really nice touch. Northtech's innovation did not stop there. They added improved dust collection by adding a top dust port. And of course, the Northtech comes with a non-marring pad as you would expect. You will find more innovation to the left of the machine as well, as they have moved the dust port onto the door. Of course, they have also partitioned the blade, but they have also removed the tub, which can build up with dust. Plus, they have added brushes to the openings of the internal saw cavity and arbor area. Again, that also includes brushes around the upper arbor casting. When we look inside, you can see needle valves on the blade's pneumatic cylinder that will allow you to control the plunge speed of the blade depending on how fine of a cut you are looking for. Up front, you will find two knobs, so if you cut thinner material like say 3/4 inches thick, you can limit the blade travel to say 1.5 inches to shorten your cycle times and increase production. Northtech even added front safety tape and rubber edge guards. While it may seem superficial, when you add these details to the entirety of what they have put together, it is a nice touch. Nearly 50% of our customers opt for in-feed and out-feed tables, and Northtech's will not disappoint. The optional solid powder-coated table has a built-in tape that is easily adjustable and replaceable, as it is inset into an aluminum track. The fence allows for multiple flip stops to be used with one another. Simply pushing in and out of the way allows your operator to choose which setting they need. You will also find a built-in waste chute where you can easily drop wastage into a box, and there is an optional iron bowl dump bin if needed as well. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach us at info@360degreemachinery.com, or you can give us a call at 630-229-6705. Again, thank you for tuning in to 360 Degree, helping you buy with confidence.